Thank you, gentlemen. I want to talk about Pobelter Zed. Very strong in the early game, carried Winterfox through that early and mid game, and at least gave them the opportunity to scale the Twitch into the late game and have a team fight presence. Now, it didn't work out because of the picks set up by Adrian and the follow-through of the Hecarim. And Rush's Nidalee actually played very well, still a little solo queue-esque, sometimes going a little ham. But I think the follow-up on that was really what hammered it home there for Impulse.
Yeah, he did a really good job during the laning phase. And I absolutely hate that matchup when I'm playing Yasuo against the Zed, because it feels like it is kind of a skill matchup, but Zed has 8 ways to outplay the Yasuo, and Yasuo has 1 or 2 ways to outplay the Zed. There's just more tools at his disposal. And then eventually Xiao was like, oh, I don't have to 1v1 him. Let's just get Impact in here too. And then they were able to just shut that down because they put a lot of pressure on Altec, and Altec just couldn't get off the ground. And it seemed like a composition centered around the Twitch really getting off the ground and doing good things for the team and getting to eventually some crit items that he can just blast through that lineup that we had on TIP's side. But they never got to that point.
Yeah, unfortunately.
It's easy to overlook Impulse for having an easy schedule this week to go 2-0. I mean, they beat Coast and Winterfox, but they are now on a 5-game winning streak and really looking strong. Like, the way they were able to kill Twitch again and again and again, yes, there were a few things Altec and Winterfox could have done to avoid that, but it showed a pretty defined focus on what they needed to do to win that game. Even with all the kills they had onto Altec, he was still kind of scary in teamfights. Imagine if they had not shut him down the way they did. So I definitely do want to credit Impulse for their focus early game in this one to be able to overcome all of Xiao's 1v1 deaths and still have a pretty easy victory.
Absolutely. Looking very strong. They have Dignitas next week as well as CLG, so they kind of have both representations of the bracket left to play, or the bracket to play against, right? Bottom tier team and a top tier team to really show up, maybe move themselves up into that top 3 scenario, right? They're sitting at 10-6. When we look at those playoff race, seeding is really going to be coming down to the wire.
Yeah, pretty much around all the way from 6th to 1st, there's just 1 game between every little movement up. Like 5 and 6 is right next to 3rd by 1 game. 3rd is right next to 2nd by 1 game. It's just so much movement can happen in these last 2 games that we have next week. So right now, we know that the bottom 4 teams, or the bottom 3 teams, are locked in for relegation. Just they have to get their order and then playoffs at the same time.
Let's make the distinction. They're not locked into relegation because there is the possibility of Winterfox and Dignitas tying Liquid and then for that 7th place. They cannot make playoffs, though. So at this point, Winterfox, Dignitas can't make it into playoffs. They could contest for 7th with a Team Liquid loss in the next game.
Out of the bottom 4 teams, 3 of them will be going to relegation, and we know those 4 teams. We just don't know which of the 3 they are there.
Correct.
Yeah. And Impulse, I mean, they have much happier thoughts coming into this one. I'm really excited for the matchup we're going to have CLG versus Impulse Sunday next week, because there's a legitimate chance that that could be for the 2nd seed in the LCS.
Right, for a bye in
which
that first round.
Absolutely crazy when you look at the path of Team Impulse this year. They didn't have anything close to their full roster on the first game. Their impact didn't show up. They were this slow to turn on team. We kept talking about this team having a really high ceiling, and then they kept losing. You know, at the middle point of week 4, they were not a good team, right? But in these last few weeks, they've come together so well. Impact is a great top laner. Apollo is looking like a great AD carry. It's just working.
Now, back to the conversation about the bottom side of the bracket. Winterfox, I do feel like, is the team that could still make it to that 7th spot over Dignitas, given their matchups, right? They're playing Liquid themselves, right, next week. So that's, I mean, you have to win that game, right?
Here's the problem.
But they're also playing Coast.
Yeah.
And based on their play today, I want to call back to what Kobe said about them not. In their game yesterday, they didn't necessarily pick the champions that supported this old roster they were finding some success with. Well, today they went back to the Assassin carry mid laner, which Pobelter performed on, as well as having a hyper carry, AD carry that if they had funneled maybe a little bit more onto and not gotten caught out there at the end of the game, this was a winnable game for them. So looking at the next 2, like, it is not out of the realm of possibility that they move into that 7th place spot and make it into the summer split.
It would be, though, if Team Liquid wins their next game. against Coast, then it's completely out of their hands. So they've lost the ability to control their own fate now. They're just going to have to hope Coast on a 13-game losing streak plays spoiler, which is a tough ask.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we do have to take a 210-second broadcaster cooldown, but when we return, we'll see if that question is answered there in our final game of the day, Coast versus Team Liquid. You're watching the NA LCS.
You can sync to each other, and that'll definitely make it into the LCS broadcast.
Rising up. Na, 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 na.
That's good, that's good.
Rush not ready to get away from that one. The damage will be enough. Alltech at 1 and 4 gets a kill, but gets hooked too. Not a good thing for the Rat.
I got it. Go,
Baron
go, go,
1K,
go.
Baron 1K.
Okay, we can still fight. Yasuo don't. Yasuo don't. Go, go, go.
I'm coming up, wait till I get there.
Watching Thresh.
I'm coming up, I'm going this way.
Goes to the damage out, but Pobota takes the exhaust, but is there any follow-up? Looks like Spray and Pray is gone. The Javelin hits the back. That one immediately explodes. He takes the hook, a 1 for 0. In goes Belter, but drops right away. This could be the game for Impulse. Team Impulse certainly not pretty. They take a win here in this one.